Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, the official podcast of the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the HOMEWORKcast podcast. With me is Brian Young, the Hate Dork.
We're vampires. We don't put down towels.
And also joining us is Lisa Gullickson, wife Dork.
I think of it like this. If you're going to eat a sandwich, you would just enjoy it more if you knew no one had fucked it.
And also joining us is Brad Gullickson, mouth Dork.
I go for a look, which I call
God
dead
damn it.
but delicious.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Darren.
Someone's quote got janked.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, and that was my quote. Welcome to the HOMEWORKcast podcast, HOMEWORKcast, the return of the HOMEWORKcast.
Yes.
Because it is also the return of the Turtle Dork.
Yay, we missed you.
Yeah, I've been out for a while.
He was out of the country.
He listened to no episodes while he was gone, so he hasn't heard all that shit we talked about.
In his defense, neither have I, Lisa.
Oh.
You were on them, so you don't have to listen
okay.
to them.
That's
You
right.
silly.
Oh, okay.
Got a lot of catching
How
up
long
to do.
ago was our last ItMod homework with King Kong?
Oh, damn.
Man, because remember we had our month of the Alamo.
Yeah.
So was it before that?
Yeah,
Yep.
it was.
Maybe
I think
April.
the last time we saw it was in the 1930s when the movie came out.
That's
That was
right.
the last
It
time
may have
we
been.
Your
checked.
hairdo was different, though, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your rights were different.
Yeah.
She can vote now.
Yay!
A lot of good at dinner.
Back in that time, I had to go by Lester Gullickson, and I had to put on a man voice to share my opinions.
Is Lester the gender-bent version of Lisa?
Surely.
I'm Brangelina.
All right.
I'm Brianna.
Ooh, you sound sexy.
Brianna, there you
I
go.
hit on you.
I'm
Darren,
Darisha.
Darren Nina.
No, I'm Darisha.
Darisha.
Yeah. Boy, if you don't freaking review this movie.
Oh,
So-
what we do in the shadows? Yes, this is given by you.
Yes, it was.
This is a mockumentary done, directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi.
The great Taika Waititi.
The great. That's
Yeah.
his surname.
No, that's his
so-
earned title. Have
earned
you
title.
seen the movie, right?
Oh,
Oh.
yes.
Okay. All right.
This film was released February 2015.
What a great year. 2015 in movies
That was an awesome year.
like this.
We saw this in our first Lost Weekend 3 at the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester.
We did.
Yeah.
I had to see it later.
Oh.
God damn it, Lisa.
I know.
So this is a mockumentary. So the synopsis on IMDb says the documentary team films the lives of a group of vampires for a few months. The vampires share a house in Wellington, New Zealand. Turns out vampires have their own domestic problems too.
Right. I picked this movie because, firstly, I thought I knew you. Because we go back like a long time.
That mean?
Almost, it was like 2000? Like
2000, yeah.
Shit, 17 years. So within that span of time, normally one would become accustomed to another or a companion or a friend. You get to know that person.
Yeah.
You can finish each other's sentences and stuff like that. You know their tastes.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I know your favorite movie is
Yeah.
The Gray.
Yeah.
And I know your least favorite movie now is What We Do in the Shadows.
Not true.
But
This shit's
You're
going
right.
to get brutal.
You don't
So
know
I
me.
thought-
You
in
really
tears.
don't.
And so with the upcoming release of Thor Ragnarok,
Yes.
directed also by the great Taika Waititi, I figured, hey, I know Brian hadn't gotten around to seeing What We Do in the Shadows. So let's introduce him to that film.
Let's share this wonderful, wonderful gift.
Thank you.
You've seen Hunt for the Wilder People?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I love that movie. It was in my top 10 last year.
Yeah. So again, I thought I knew you. So anyway, I thought, well, to get Brian more excited, to get him on my level of excitement for Thor Ragnarok, like Lisa said, let me give him this gift, which he proceeded to unwrap and then was like,
shit on it.
He
returned it.
He's going to re-gift this.
Is there a receipt with this gift?
Yeah. So, Brian, let's talk about your experience watching What We Do in the Shadows.
So basically, I want to just kind of debunk anything that you just said right then and there.
Okay.
I did have an interesting way of watching this film. I did not hate this film. I actually really enjoyed a lot of different aspects of this film. I had a conversation with Brad, I think a while back when I first originally saw the film, and he agreed with me slightly. I think that this is the type of film that I think needs to really be seen with an audience to really enjoy a lot of what it has to offer, especially for your first viewing of this film. And watching this movie in the comfort of my living room alone, it didn't really hit me as well as I think that a lot of other communal experiences of watching films of this ilk would entail.
I don't know if Lance Armstrong could have backpedaled better than that. That was dope.
but it's true.
I
mean, regardless of what
you, baby.
It's true. Now, I will say that watching this film, I'm not going to say that I belly laughed or I was like laughing throughout the whole thing. But I mean, and mockumentaries they're interesting films. I can't really say that I've seen a lot of mockumentaries, but
what's your favorite?
Like I said, I don't think I've really seen
Pop Star, motherfucker. That's a mockumentary.
Okay, yeah, but then, again, that experience.
I thought I knew you.
But that experience goes because I saw it in the theater with you next to me, laughing your ass off. And I'm sure if I was at Lost Weekend 3 with the two of you guys, I would have felt the same way about What We Do in the Shadows.
Have you ever been to a movie with Darren in which he wasn't laughing, like a comedy?
A comedy? I would have to think about some of the movies that we saw, but
have you seen the recent Rough Night?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay,
I haven't.
How about Baywatch?
I did see Baywatch.
Okay.
And I laughed during Baywatch, even though the movie's not funny. That was a different situation. I needed.
You spite laugh?
Yeah, there you go. I spite laughed. I had a rough day, I had a rough week. I said, you know what? I know this movie's going to be some horse shit. I need to laugh though. And I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to laugh. I'm going to laugh at this dumb juvenile humor. And I did.
I had a similar experience. I just watched Bubba Hotep for the first time.
You spite laughed at Bubba Hotep?
The worst. Well, because I brought a friend. I was just like, let's see this movie, this classic film that I've never seen.
I thought I knew you, Lisa. What the hell? You didn't like Bubba Hotep? Has this affected your marriage, Brad?
Lisa, you do realize that we're probably going to interview the director this year.
Well, I'm going to confront him. I'm going to say, take these 2 stars and eat them.
Bubba Hotep is great.
So
We're gonna talk about Bubba Hotep in the future, listeners.
Okay,
don't worry.
That's another movie I haven't seen.
Uh-oh.
Bubba Hotep's a ton of fun, Lisa. You weren't watching it with this guy.
How many awkward hand jobs can you really watch?
Oh, wow.
They're not really hand jobs. It's medicinal, but I don't want to get into it.
Okay. But see, this goes to
sound effects alone.
This goes to my point, and not taking anything away from What We Do in the Shadows, but this goes to my point as far as with comedy. Actually, I don't even know if I made my point yet. But the whole thing with comedy, and why I think comedy is probably one of the hardest genres for directors and filmmakers to tackle, is because humor is subjective, and sometimes
everything's subjective.
Everything is
Stories
subjective.
are subjective.
But
Goodness is subjective.
But humor.
The Last Night is subjective.
Yeah, that's true.
But Baby Driver's not subjective.
Nope.
It's not. That's the one thing. It stops there. But humor is a subjective thing because we all see humor differently, and I think, and also it's a communal experience as well. Like I was saying before, so that I think just me watching this alone, I just think affected my enjoyment.
What time of day?
I watched this yesterday. It was night, not late, about 8ish.
Had you eaten? What did you eat?
Chicken salad.
Ooh, that sounds
But
good.
you've now watched this film twice, right?
On a sandwich?
Originally, maybe 2 months ago when we originally were going to try to do this episode.
But we couldn't because you was like, I didn't watch the motherfucker.
No, I did.
He did.
But he did not like it.
Yeah.
And you watched it the first time, you said to me, I think I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
Any difference?
Well, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. This time I went into the film a little bit open-minded, having seen it before, so I kind of knew some of the beats that were coming, and I did enjoy it. I enjoyed a lot of the characters and the character moments a lot more this time. I thought the standout, I thought Taika Waititi as Viago and Jermaine Clement as Vladislav, they were good, but Deacon, I really liked him. I mean, his demeanor, his swagger, he just has this way about him that is just he don't trip off of anything. He's real cool, his delivery. I really like the character of Deacon. I thought, and then his whole exchange with the lady, oh goodness, what's her name? Jackie.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to get turned? She feels like she's at the prime of her life, so she wants to, and he just won't bite her.
You know what? Why this film is so wonderful, Brian, is that yes, it is funny. It's hilarious. It is objectively hilarious.
Okay.
But it's also a really great vampire movie. Because it does have Jackie as the Renfield character. It does explore, the Twilight versions of vampires. It explores the Nosferatu versions of vampires.
Yes.
It goes into werewolves and ghouls.
And vampire hunters and stuff like that.
And I also think the film has a lot of heart.
I was going to say, for me, that's my favorite thing about it, and that's why I wanted you to see it, because the balancing of the comedy but having the ability to have characters you care about is something that I'm predicting will be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, selling point or strong suits of Thor Ragnarok. You're going to have that the comedic beats between Banner or Hulk and Thor, but also there's going to be some character work in there where you feel for the characters during these stakes or whatever.
And I definitely saw that throughout the film, because even as I'm watching it, like I say, even what happens to oh goodness, the Nosferatu
Peter?
Yeah, what happens
Peter with a Y?
Yeah, Peter with a Y. What happens to him when he, gets into the sunlight and they see him and getting burned. And that's a sad moment. That's a sad and seeing what happens, and then you see Jermaine Clement take the water and dude, what's that gonna do? Come on, it's not. So I mean, there's a lot of
cops that come later.
Huh?
Yeah. And the cops, and then Taika's I hypnotize them, and hopefully it won't wear off. And you seeing them stuck, floating in the air, and they're walking around, and yeah, it's there's some great character work and story beats that are really happening in this film. So I definitely see the heart, that Lisa's talking about in tandem with the comedy that's going on in this. And I think that's due to Taika and Jermaine, what they're doing with the direction of this film.
And the fact that all of these characters are being played straight. There's nothing wink-winky about their comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's not winking at the camera. I mean, they've created these characters, and really the comedy just comes from...
it's situational comedy.
It's very situational comedy between everybody who lives in this house together.
And then the one flatmate who gets turned, Nick, and then he has his buddy
Stu.
I
love Stu.
Stu is great. The one who eventually gets turned into a werewolf.
The werewolf. Yeah, Stu. Yeah, I like when they go to the masquerade party. That was. He's like, who is so what is it? They got zombies and everybody there. He's like, so what are you? He's like, I'm an IT. I work. It's so you're human, and everybody wants to eat them. So yeah.
How do you not love this movie, man?
I mean, again, like I said, I just feel like I needed to have a group of people
Much
there.
like Nick got turned in this movie, I think we can turn Brian.
Well, we're
just
doing
need
it
to-
already. I mean, look.
Where's the newspaper? Put the
Look at
newspaper
him
down.
laughing. Brian's having more fun right now talking about the
yeah,
plot
I
points.
think that's what I needed to do was really kind of talk this. And there was some funny, like the moment with Taika with Viago when he's I guess he's on a date with that woman and he wants to bite her and he hits an artery. Yeah, and he's trying to. That was hilarious.
Mouth catch the blood.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then they cut to him and he's got blood everywhere.
And he's all
trying,
sad. He's a little sad.
Yeah.
Well, his whole backstory with the love of his life.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Is
so beautiful.
one of the things the first thing I think about when you mention the heart of the film. Like that really is the heart of the film and how it comes full circle. Like at the end of that film,
Yeah,
it's played for a comedic beat, but at the same time, it's just the sweetest thing and what it implies about his character.
Absolutely.
The moment that crushes me, and it is absolutely hilarious, but just so brutal, is when Stu shows them the internet and they're able to watch a sunset for the first time in God knows how long.
Yeah.
And Deacon's just like in awe
Yeah.
of nature's beauty through YouTube.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Again, it's
hilarious.
It's like
and brutal.
It's like the moment at the end when he finally decides to be with the lady. She's old now. It's it could be a comedic beat, but at the same time, it's something heartfelt about it. Again, that is deceivingly emotional. Like that moment when you think about it outside of the context of a comedy and something we take for granted every day. You know, the internet, the sunset. And how they're just like little kids. There's an innocence to it, you know. And again, going back to the Hunt for the Wilder People, Taika Waititi expertly has a bunch of comedic beats, but you have them involving this Ricky Baker who has a tragic background. Surprisingly, meets another tragic situation with a potentially positive family experience, and then he and his new guardian in the wilderness, and the relationship that grows between them and where that ends up at the end of that film. Something that if you take out all of the comedic beats, I mean, you can look at it in a serious manner. It's some serious relationship work going on, but that serious relationship is enhanced by the comedy and the funny, because you're caught off guard by, oh shit, I'm caring about these people. I'm caring about these vampires. It's crazy.
And I think that's the great thing of what Taika does is the fact, even with Hunt with the Wilder People, he uses that comedy almost as an entry point to the heart of the film. I mean, the heart is there, for you to kind of just really consume and really get connected with. But the comedy is almost, I don't want to say it's like a safeguard, but it's a way. Like it almost lets you kind of just let your guard down, and then you experience the emotions of the relationship between these characters, like in the Hunt, with Ricky Baker and Sam Neill's character. I forget his name at the moment, and I think it's the same thing in this movie here.
So with What We Do in the Shadows, if you can recall. Do you know? Are there specific moments you remember not necessarily gravitating towards during your first watch that you saw in a different light during your second watch, and maybe why?
I think it was really because just hearing so much about this film, I really think it was maybe like the first 10 to 20 minutes of the film being introduced to all these characters. The first time, like going through the introduction of all these characters, like I was like, okay, it just didn't really hit me comedically. But
you weren't sure what it was supposed to be or what.
Yeah, I mean, we open the film with it's 6:00 and you see Taika. He comes out of his coffin and he's trying to peek through the curtain, and these are all great character building moments. To let you know what type of film this is, and the whole thing about, they gave the camera crew crucifixes, so they wouldn't get harmed. So, like, these are all great, like, little beats.
It's all very clever.
Yeah, very clever.
Smart.
Yeah, so like as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's interesting, but I just wasn't finding myself laughing at it, you know. And then even like so he's going around talking to all these different people, and Jermaine Clement is he knocks on his door, and he's in bed with all these women,
his concubines.
and it's weird the way that it's shot. It's almost like this
on the wall,
this God's view angle through the door. Then he closes it and opens it back up, and he's like got his robe on. It's like okay, he's like so yeah. Like these are a lot of moments made me chuckle, but I just never had like these hardcore laughs. And but again, I thought the direction of the film was done perfectly. And then like that moment in the kitchen when they're talking about, I think he's talking
doing the
to
dishes?
Deacon about doing the dishes, and like they're getting it, then they float into the air and get in each other's faces. I was like, okay, like this is interesting, but it's not really hitting me. But the second watch, it started. I understood what this film was trying to do, and it worked a little bit better. So it was really that opening. But once I got on board with that opening, then I really could kind of get involved with a lot of the stuff that they were doing. Like I love the scene, another comedic moment when they're going around the city. And they have to get into the club, but it's like they have to be invited in.
Deacon's outfit,
the dog fur thing, whatever.
And it's like they're talking to that one bouncer at the door. He's like, yeah. He's like, but you need to invite us. He's like, can we come? He's like, yeah. It's like, he's like, but you need to invite us.
Yeah.
He's like, you need. And I thought
and that
stuff
goes back
was
to what
hilarious.
Brad's saying is how it intelligently takes the tropes of the vampire mythos and turns them on its ear for comedic effect. Like I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah,
And just watching things play out in real world situations.
Yeah.
Like, everybody can identify with the roommate argument of nobody's doing the fucking dishes. We need to make a chart. I mean, how many of those dumb charts I room with vampires, so we make those charts all the time. But that kind of shit. It's so fun.
Yeah. So the movie is really clever. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't want to take anything away from the film. It's just my experience of watching it.
Because you look at, and I said that Taika Waititi's Viago was the heart of the film. But even with the familiar, even with Deacon's familiar, there's some heart there because you sympathize with her. Like it's outlandish that she wants to become a vampire. But when you see her quote unquote mundane life, home life, you feel sad. And then even before you see that, when you just see what she's willing to do for him, like be this gopher for him, and how he treats her, you feel bad for her.
I do feel, even though I like Deacon, the way he kind of treats her,
he's a total prick.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, and all she wants to do is it's like, look.
I love how that dynamic shifts when Nick is turned, and Deacon's jealousy of Nick. I really, really appreciate.
And then for her, she gets someone else to turn her, and then Deacon's pissed off. So she even has a character arc.
Yeah.
Jermaine Clement's character, how early on it's introduced about this this ominous the beast.
The beast.
You keep hearing people talk about the beast, and you see drawings, and they give you this backstory. There are a bunch of cool illustrations, these old like, Gothic illustrations,
wood carvings, and whatnot.
And to lay out the backstory, so you get this this sense of this impending doom. But when they finally show the beast and reveal what the beast's relationship is to him, it's to comedic effect. And I don't know, in how he intrudes and ends up saving the day, quote unquote, saving the day at the masquerade party.
Yeah, that was funny. He has the mask on, and he tries to do this dramatic reveal, and it just
doesn't work. Yeah, it's fucking great, man.
Yeah, I guess it all works. It really does. Like I said, as I'm thinking about it, like a lot of the story beats and comedic beats really do work.
Like, do you watch comedies at home, like by yourself?
I every once in a while I may. I only own a few. I only own a few comedies. Pop Star being the most recent one I can think of, but for the most part, like the films that I rate, I give Dirty Grandpa like 3 stars, and I say, man, I had a great time in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
do you own Dirty Grandpa?
I don't. See, that's the thing. Like I have fun in the theater, watching it, laughing with the audience, and knowing that this beat hit, and it's the same with watching horror movies in an audience, like watching the first paranormal movie in the audience. Watching it at home does not compare to that because the audience is validating what the director is trying to accomplish, and so I know, and so it puts me. It's almost like a 4D experience. They're helping add to the tension because I can feel them on edge, and then when they respond to the scares, and the same thing with comedy. So I don't watch too many comedies at home by myself unless it's an old classic like Car Wash or Friday or something like that.
See, like for me, I don't really watch a lot of new comedies like by myself at home. It's usually stuff that I've seen before, and like if I rewatch it, sometimes it may not be as funny because I realize that maybe it was that experience that really made it as funny. I'm thinking like maybe when I saw Bridesmaids in the theater, that had me floored, and it still remained funny to me even on home video or DVD. But a lot of new comedies. The only new comedy was one that I discovered, which was actually one of my favorite movies of all time, which was Swingers. Like Swingers, I saw on cable like for the first time. I just stumbled upon it.
Swingers is a very different comedy.
It's a different type of comedy, but again, like I was saying, like the subjectivity of comedy, but. That one, I just gravitated towards that type of humor when I saw it. I was like, man, this movie is hilarious.
There are only 3 comedies that I watch on a regular basis at home, and they ironically are my favorite 3 comedies of all time.
That's not ironic.
Oh yeah, coincidentally.
I don't even think it's coincidental. If they're your 3 favorite, then it's really appropriate that they would be.
Appropriately, they are the Big Lebowski, The Life Aquatic, and Nacho Libre.
But do you know what all of those movies have in common? Is that I think that they're movies that have a lot of dramatic weight and are funny. Those are the comedies that I like. And that's what I think What We Do in the Shadows is.
Okay.
Agreed. And that's the point that I was going to get to as well is, Big Lebowski, Blues Brothers, What We Do in the Shadows, they are funny as hell. Life Aquatic can be really, really funny.
But Life Aquatic is also tragic.
It is.
Tragic and
beautiful.
It is all character.
Yeah.
And I think what We Do in the Shadows does so well, and I'm about to offend Darren here, and something like Popstar does not, is I really connect with the people on screen in What We Do in the Shadows versus, say, like Airplane or Scary Movie or Top Secret or spoof comedy.
But it doesn't mean you don't enjoy or can't laugh at those films, though.
But I don't watch them at home by myself.
Okay.
But, as the resident comedy dork, Lisa watches a lot of comedy by herself,
but
over and over and over again.
Only stand-up. I watch stand-up comedy by myself.
Which I find even more interesting.
I don't know, because with stand-up comedy really literally is all character. Through stand-up comedy, you're getting to know one person, in my opinion, and my favorite comedians, intimately.
I watch Richard Pryor stand-up comedy over and over and over again.
And in doing that, you get to know this part of him, which I find beautiful. When you guys came over, I was watching Rory Scovel's new Netflix special. Yeah. And, so I think that a stand-up special has that same kind of element that a more dramatic, straight-played comedy has, where you get to know the characters and you just love the characters.
Like Bubba Hotep.
No. Though, do you know what I loved with Bubba Hotep was the Jack Kennedy character.
Yeah, Ozzie Davis.
I loved that guy.
He's thinking with sand here.
I just loved that. And I loved how, tragic and sad that was. Who I did not like was your best friend. What's his name?
Bruce Campbell.
Damn.
But that does make a lot of sense though, because like you say, like when the dramedy.
Yeah. Oh, dramedy.
when the drama and the comedy is kind of infused together, I think that does make for a better experience. Because now going back to Edgar Wright, Baby Driver, I rewatched the Cornetto trilogy, and Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead were 2 movies that I discovered on at home. I saw The World's End at the World's End. What? The World's End?
At the Alamo Drafthouse?
No,
that is our World's
End. The title.
Yeah.
At the World's End. Okay.
No, it's
The
World's
The
End.
World's End. Sorry. I saw that in the theater, but that was after I discovered this trilogy. But those movies really stood out to me, and I think those movies are hilarious. But they have a lot of heart and a lot of character. And rewatching the whole trilogy, I love The World's End, but Shaun of the Dead is a really, really special film. But so yeah, I think that even watching films at home, I think I could still connect with comedies. It's just weird. Like this one just took a little bit more for me to kind of really,
But what's interesting, as we're talking about plot elements and character elements, you're doing a lot of smiling, you're doing a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
And like I feel, like the film had an effect on you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes it takes that, like I said, to really just kind of for me to.
I'd be curious to watch it with you in a theater.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, there are definitely elements that I gravitated towards in this film, just on the comedic point. And while I was watching it, that's something else too. Like I can see how good the comedy was crafted in the film. It wasn't sloppily done, like say like a Baywatch or something like that. Like I could see like this movie was well crafted with the comedy that it was trying to tell, and I thought that was, but it just didn't make me just like outright laugh.
Next time, FaceTime me when you watch it. I'll watch it. I'll put it on too. And we just watch together. All right.
Yeah.
Put me
That
on
sounds
speaker.
like the most adorable thing ever.
I'm serious.
Aw.
Shit, remember that one time Walking Dead was on and I couldn't get home to watch it, so I was in the car and I FaceTimed you. I was like, Brian, tell me what's happening.
Oh no, you had me FaceTime and then
I said, put your phone
it on
towards
the
the
TV.
That's some it mod nerd shit
I'm serious
right there.
about my shit, okay?
Yeah.
Disco. All right.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, no, I did enjoy the film.
Okay.
I did enjoy the film.
all right, man. We got to have a movie night.
This wasn't as controversial an episode I was hoping it would be.
I want to edit all
I'm
that
sorry.
shit.
I'm
No,
Oh,
sorry.
good. It's
yeah,
just going to be fighting.
Did you
yeah.
want more controversy?
There's going to be gunshots in
Yeah.
here.
Is
Talk
there
about
anything
TV
else we can bring up
sucks.
that we disagree
Don't
about?
say that. I know why.
I mean,
So,
No.
go ahead, B.
well, I was just gonna say, we're wrapping up here, but looking at this film, looking at Hunt for the Wilder People, and thinking
Under the Wilder what?
I've had like 5 shots of chartreuse.
That bottle was full.
Right.
You
In the
bought
face.
it today.
That bottle was
I'm gonna
full.
take it.
No, we're fucking having. Don't take that bottle from me. Shit, I forgot my thought. Oh.
Okay.
Looking at fucking What We Do in the Shadows,
Yeah.
Hunt for the Wilder People, and the upcoming Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
I mean, how do you feel about him helming a Marvel movie?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited, just off the strength of Hunt for the Wilder People. But I'm glad I got to see What We Do in the Shadows, because I mean I think that's a great double feature of films for Taika Waititi. Like you guys were saying, like combining a lot of these dramatic elements with the comedy, and then hearing about what Kevin Feige was saying about the script for Ragnarok, this being one of the darkest, edgier scripts that have come across for one of these films, to bring a director like that to balance that darkness with a little bit of his tone and levity that he's able to bring as a director, I think should give the movie a nice balance that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with that. So I'm looking forward to his take on Ragnarok and this take on this material.
So now you've seen the film that he made before Hunt for the Wilder People. You've seen What We Do in the Shadows, and you've seen Hunt for the Wilder People. So do you see Taika's voice? Do you see his distinct sensibilities in how he crafts the comedy in the heart and works with characters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I can definitely see that. I mean, he's visually, he's not really, but with character, with story, even in the style of that, you can see his fingerprints.
And then you think back to like the Thor and his roommate, his flatmate.
Yeah, and I love like those small little pieces with Thor and Daryl.
I mean, they feel like they were cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely.
Of What We Do in the
After
Shadows.
rewatching that, I definitely feel I would love to see a film with just Thor and Daryl.
Yeah.
Like, just give you an hour and a half of them two living in London.
Yeah.
With him on vacation from Asgard. That would be absolutely fantastic. fantastic.
Yeah.
I think, though, when you watch What We Do in the Shadows, you don't necessarily say that dude is perfect for a great Thor movie.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say the first
However,
thing.
the more I watch this film, the more I watch Hunt for the Wilder People, what excites me is how he is going to have limited time to build character in Thor Ragnarok, and he is going to succeed in doing that better than the previous Thor films, certainly, I feel. And I think probably it's good. I have high hopes for Ragnarok. One, because it's a story that I'm really excited to see play out and build to Infinity War. But I have really grandiose thoughts and hopes for knowing Thor a little deeper, to seeing Banner. I'm really excited to see Taika Waititi's Banner and Mark Ruffalo.
That's and again, talk about character and relationships. Like, I want to see also how he's going to expound upon the relationship of Thor and Loki. I think he can do something really, especially from what Kenneth Branagh did in the first film. Having more of a Shakespearean take on Thor and that relationship with Loki. I think Taika can do something like build on that from the first Thor and really do something special with that relationship. Now, granted, I don't know how much Loki's going to be in Ragnarok, but if that is going to be an integral part of the story, I think Taika will excel at diving deeper into that relationship between the two of them as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being as distinctive a voice within the MCU as James Gunn with the Guardians, and how those films are able to stick out amongst the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And also how, Brad, you mentioned like you watch What We Do in the Shadows or Hunt for the Wilder People, and you don't necessarily go, I think he'd be great for Thor Ragnarok. And the same can be said for the Russo brothers when they're announced as, are they going to be doing a Captain America film? Would you think of them as, directors of TV, comedy, and Community? But their strong suits were taking a bunch of a large cast of characters and giving each of them time to coalesce and breathe and also develop. And I think same way with, you don't think Taika Waititi when you think Thor Ragnarok, but his strong suit in having character and heart and also comedy and levity is what is going to stand out in Thor Ragnarok too.
And I guess my last point is like it really just comes down to the brilliance of Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige said in the interview, this was back in the AMC days, is that what makes you choose like some of your directors? He was like, we look for people who can tell good stories. They don't look for people who are great at doing special effects or have done big budget films. They was like, we have teams of people who can do the big budget visual effects, but we need people who are good at storytelling. And that's why he picked, this was when the first Guardians came out and they were talking about James Gunn. Like, why did you choose James Gunn out of all people? They looked at movies like Slither. They looked at these smaller films that these directors do, and they could really pick out these directors who know how to tell story. And that's what they want for these Marvel films. And that's what I appreciate about what Kevin Feige has done with the MCU. We see like all this hoopla going on with Han Solo and, the micromanaging or whatever you call it, that Kathleen Kennedy and these directors not having a lot of control over these films. Like with having a playground like the MCU where you can make these big budget films, but yet still be able to put your stamp on the film, or at least from the way I perceive it. That could be the complete opposite. I think that's something special for a young director to get that opportunity. You want to go play in that playground of the MCU because you feel like you'll be able to have your voice there.
Well, we should continue this conversation next week during our Baby Driver review cast.
Oh, wow. Okay, I can't wait. 24 hours.
So I would say this, if you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, we haven't really spoiled anything. If you also haven't seen The Hunt for the Wilder People, please do yourself a favor. Both of those movies are accessible on streaming now, or those are just blind buy movies. I think that, yes, as mentioned in the discussion, and it is true, rightfully so, comedy is subjective. But I think with comedy, especially films that aren't just strictly slapstick or gross out comedy, there is comedy that has drama in it, like Big Lebowski, like Wes Anderson's films, like The Life Aquatic. For me, I said it all the time. When I first saw The Big Lebowski, I didn't like that movie, and I had to go see it multiple times because there was more than just comedy on the surface. There are things about characters and I think that even you go blind by What We Do in the Shadows. You can go watch it. It might not wash over you the first time, the comedy, but there are things there to go back to, the character moments. What we spoke about Viago and his long lost love, and Vlad and his his history with the beast, and also his lack of. He used to be a great and powerful vampire who had the power of hypnotism like at his fingertips, and then now we catch up to him and he can't even get a guy to look at him through the window like see me, see so and what he's become, and then the flatmates and so there's a lot there, and then the hunt for the wilder people. I mean,
that's a great
there
movie.
is
That's a great movie.
I don't even know if I necessarily just call that a comedy. I mean, there's so much there with character work that I say all that to say, Taika Waititi. You look at his, his strengths as a director. What I love the most is, even though What We Do in the Shadows and The Hunt for the Wilder People are directed by the same person who has, you can see the same comedic sensibilities. They're two totally different movies.
They are.
That feel on some level feel totally different, but at the same time kind of feel the same.
Yeah.
And so I think that's special for a director to be able to have two different pieces of art be able to live and breathe and be distinctive on their own, but yet share the same strengths. And I think that Taika Waititi is someone who excels at that, and I can only imagine what this next piece of art that is going to be unleashed on us in November is going to be. So if you haven't seen these two films, the long story short, double feature both of them back to back, and treat yourself to a wonderful, joyous time with film, because it really is that.
So here's that time again. It's been a really long month, Brian.
This is the end.
This is the end.
What did you give?
So your first assignment
Hedwig.
was
That
Hedwig
does
and the
feel
Angry
like
Inch.
a long time ago.
Your second assignment was the 1933 King Kong. And your third assignment was 2015's What We Do in the Shadows. You have to rank them. Who wins?
I anoint you, Brad.
King Kong.
Nice.
King Kong. All right. King Kong, then what?
Man. Why does this feel like I'm picking between like two of my children?
You know that Darren has an unconditional love for you, of a friendship of 18 years.
And I have editing responsibilities.
And my love is extraordinarily conditional.
Yes.
I'll drop you like a hot rock, Brian, if you diss me and my choice in film.
My initial three was actually going to be King Kong, Hedwig, and What We Do. This conversation.
Sorry, I gasped and I accidentally drowned.
But I'll keep it that way. I'll keep it
You
that
don't
way.
have to.
So King Kong, Hedwig, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
But
as far as my initial enjoyment, like talking about What We Do in the Shadows has really made me like kind of see it differently. But there was a lot of interesting things. Even though Hedwig is not a movie that I think I would have saw on my own, I did enjoy the music, and there's a lot to unpack in that film that I think really is something that needs to be kind of delved into deeper and explored. And I think I have a much stronger appreciation for that film I thought about a lot more than I did like when I saw What We Do in the Shadows, especially after the first time. I was just like, okay, I saw it.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but
I'm now adding a new segment to ItMod Homework.
What?
And that new segment is, will you own any of these? Or are you good?
No, I would like, because I do want to get more into classic films, and I want to expand my shelf, my DVD shelf. I really enjoyed the 1933 King Kong. I really, more than I thought that I would. I really enjoyed that film. That's something I wouldn't mind owning. Definitely What We Do in the Shadows. Hedwig, I that's a film I would be interested to check that out again. I don't know if I would own it, but it's the movie I definitely would. I think
would
I would
love to see it in a theater. Wouldn't that be an amazing screening?
Yeah, I would like to see that again, especially after our conversation about it.
There's a live show.
Yeah,
I just saw
and
advertisement
it's
for that
at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. Okay.
I know Tate
Right now,
Diggs
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
played
Yes,
Hedwig,
he did.
Yeah. So all in all, I think I really enjoyed all the picks.
I love that the picks were really all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like this month, and I also feel like I say this at the end of every cycle.
You do.
But I feel like this month we really succeeded in the concept of ItMod homework.
Yeah.
We gave Brian 3 movies that he needed to be fed.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for finally watching them.
Yay!
Hey, look, we had a lot going on the last 2 months.
We
Not
do.
just me, the whole ItMod,
and that's going to continue because we have a very special pilgrimage to make in a few weeks. So ItMod homework is going to return until
after Comic-Con.
Until after
So
Comic-Con.
the end of July, beginning of August.
Yeah,
right there.
but before that, I believe we got ItMod Film Club coming up.
Yes.
So if you have not rewatched it, go ahead and check out John McTiernan's classic Die Hard, the original.
Yes.
Brian picked that one for ItMod Film Club, so we're going to watch that great film and wax poetic about the greatness of how action cinema was changed. You know, in similar fashion to how the beauty of What We Do in the Shadows and The Hunt for the Wilder People marriages character and comedy. The strong suit of Die Hard, in my opinion, is marrying action with character. You care about the actions that are, the characters engaging in. So
it's definitely a transition in action cinema.
Oh yeah, benchmark. So we're going to be talking about that this coming weekend on Friday. We got a fistful of drivers in honor of Edgar Wright's new classic, Baby Driver. So firstly, go to the movies, check that film out, so you can be up and up on our fistful, and you can check that out, and then you can listen to our review cast. We're going to have that coming as soon as Brian can get in the theater and get that checked out. He's probably seen it already at this point.
Oh yeah, by the time this
recording.
post, yes. By the time,
All right. And so Comic-Con preview cast is coming up. That means we get to briefly look back on Comic-Con's past. I'm 6. Everyone else is 7 years deep into this addiction.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
You missed the year.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking back on our previous Comic-Cons, and then making our predictions and what we're looking forward to, and all the Comic-Con magic that is to come.
I started
San
putting
Diego
together
2017.
an exclusive shopping list.
You got it?
There you go.
All right. So be on the lookout for that. You can follow the podcast at ItModcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can check out Brian Young, the Turtle Dork, at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and Brian William Young on Facebook. The lovely wife dork is at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd. And my man Brad Gullickson is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped. And I'm your very only, one and only Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully you're in line to see Baby Driver right now as you listen to this. If not, get your ass to the theater. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. And until next time.